Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always, coming to you on this Wednesday, March 15th from high atop the 18th fairway at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Don't forget, Indiana Sports Beat Radio is powered by Andy Moore. Andy Moore Honda, specifically Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, number one beat dealer in Bloomington. Just go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door. And Endeavor Hospitality and their family of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great places like BB's Market, Hoosier Hanks, Pizza Mac, on the newest in the Fold, located right down on College, South College. Easy to remember phone number as well, 812-330-0000. Easy to remember. Good morning to you. Hope all is well on this, well, I'd call it the eve of the tournament start, but last night was the last four in, so to speak, the play-in games.
Two sets of play-in games.
Yeah, which is kind of a joke. I mean, just make it the field. I mean, you've already had an entire conference season. I mean, the preseason, conference season, conference tournament. Just let it be the field. But oh well. The game I saw was good, or close at least. Mississippi State, and they lost they had a shot too. They had a clean shot to beat Pitt, but Pitt will go on and play in the tournament now. So the field is set, and I've got
not 100% set. There's the two more games tonight. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Nevada. It's Steve Alford's Nevada taking on Arizona State tonight, and then Texas A&M Corpus Christi plays Fairleigh Dickinson.
Farley Dickinson.
Is it Farley or Fairleigh?
I'm just kidding. Back in the day, it was probably Farley.
Like Chris Farley.
But who knows? Did Rutgers already lose?
They did. They lost in overtime to Hofstra last night in the NIT.
You know, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Disappointment. The team that didn't make the NCAA tournament. Oh, wow. Yeah, that happens a lot. And then the committee sitting there going, see, I told you so. But the Rutgers students chanted NIT at teams. Well, how'd that go for them?
I'd say there's a good chance you won't be hearing that from the student section much next year.
No. Hope everyone's doing well. Larry, Kevin, John. 5 Laughs hitting it up early. Andrew. Stephen A. has Indiana in his Final Four. That's a little surprising.
So does the Magic Conch. The Magic Conch has Indiana actually winning the entire thing.
The Magic Conch. Where
is it? Conch or Conch?
No, I don't. It probably depends on where you're from. Where did you see that?
Someone on Twitter asks the Magic Conch to pick all of their brackets, pick all of their games in their bracket, and somehow Indiana ended up in the national championship against, I can't remember who I think it's like UC Santa Barbara and Indiana ended up defeating them in the title game. UC Santa Barbara is a 14 seed.
Yeah, I was going to say that says a lot right there.
Absolutely.
Jamie says, hey, from Craft Beer City, USA, Grand Rapids, Michigan, send some beer. Boy, you're lucky the truth from Evansville's not on. He'd be saying, send beer. Send beer, beer and food and money. He likes to say that. Michigan and Wisconsin on the winning side last night. Plenty of other scores. Man, so that's the funny thing is everything gets started like bam, like a bomb going off. And it's everything's just underway, and half the teams are eliminated so fast. You're like, wait, what? Who played when? Where? Because we just had the end of the season Sunday. And today is Tuesday, and some seasons are over. For people that made the tournament, any tournament. Yeah, I saw that. Well, we'll get to talk to Bob Kravitz about that a little bit. For a 5th-round pick. Wasn't that for a 5th-round pick or something stupid? Colts trading away Stephen Gilmore to the Cowboys and going to release Matt Ryan. Yeah, we'll talk to our friend Bob Kravitz about that when he joins us, because I thought that was a little goofy. I'm trying to pull up on Fox. There we go. Of course, Pittsburgh eking out that win over Mississippi State 60-59. Texas A&M Corpus Christi beat SEMO. What a game that was. That was TANMCC versus SEMO in the acronym game of the year. But TANMCC came out victorious. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, just so we get to say that a lot. Look forward to that. Like John said today, Texas Southern taking on Fairleigh Dickinson. That game is at 6:40 this evening. And then later tonight, the nightcap, Steve Alford and were they the Wolfpack? Nevada Wolfpack, I believe.
That is what they are.
Taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils and Bobby Hurley.
Is that still the home of former Indiana baseball coach Tracy Smith? Is he still at Arizona State, or did he go away from there?
He's at Michigan.
Tracy Smith?
Yes.
Is he the head coach?
Yes.
Man, I must have been asleep during that.
I had to think for a second, but yes, Tracy Smith is at Michigan right now. Tomorrow, get ready, man. Get your brackets ready. The game's uncorked tomorrow. I mean, right off the bat. What stinks is, I won't miss a game. I travel today. Maryland, West Virginia. Man, I've got to go with West Virginia. I just don't trust Maryland away from home. And West Virginia's, they played in a tough Big 12. I'm trying to look at any other Kansas and Howard. That should not be anything. Arkansas, Illinois. There's a great 8-9 game at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. Of course, you know what? You never know which one of these games are going to be great. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Arizona, Princeton. I mean, That's why there's shockers and this stuff happens. What if Arizona just can't hit a shot and Princeton's on fire? Iowa, Auburn. That should be a good game. Our good friends from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, they get to play number 1 Alabama. Northwestern, Boo Booey and Chase Adige and company will take on Boise State in the 7-10 game. 7:35, Texas and Colgate. Duke taking on Oral Roberts. UCLA, UNC Asheville. Texas A&M, Penn State. Ooh. Now, that's a game that should be a good one. That's at 9:55. That's the nightcap tomorrow. Well, no, not really. UCLA is the nightcap at 10:05. But the Texas A&M Penn State game, that's a game that definitely looking forward to watching. But like I said, here's Tennessee, Louisiana. That's why you have the non-spill mug. Right there, John.
That just save you some extra cleaning up right there?
I guess, because it still spilled a little bit. But it didn't spill all. And there's still plenty to drink.
That's right.
So
Nothing
that
worse
worked
than losing your coffee.
And my mind.
That's true.
More importantly. Man, that thing keeps jumping over here. But, yeah, I'm just looking at these games. I'm excited, man.
Have you decided on a Final Four yet? Have you filled out a bracket?
You know what? I have not filled out my bracket yet.
I can't remember if I revealed my Final Four yesterday or not, but I guess right now is as good a time as any. I'll go ahead and say I have Marquette coming out of the – what is going on here, Jimbo? I see two.
Oh, just keep going.
Green room. We've got Marquette coming out of Purdue's region. I've got Arizona coming out of the region. Who's the one seed? Alabama's region. I've got – who do I have in the bottom right? Gonzaga. I think I did mention this yesterday, actually, when we were going over each region. And then I decided to put Indiana in my Final Four. I've never done it before, but I found a path that works for them. I do hesitate to get them past the Elite Eight. I do feel confident that they will get to at least the Elite Eight, though. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I just feel like there's no way they screw up playing Houston. I feel like that's written in the stars. If they make it to the Sweet 16, that they'll get that one. And obviously, that's just speculation. I just feel like they wouldn't miss that opportunity, you know?
I'm not going to. I think that they definitely get to the Sweet 16. Well, I'm not saying definitely. Let me take.
I'm more worried about them potentially playing Miami than I am Houston.
Well, see, Miami, maybe without their big man, if they don't have their big man, that's going to leave the middle wide open for Indiana to destroy him. But here's the thing. You cannot be a team that, you cannot be a team. College basketball is going away from the 2-point game. You've got to have both. But if you don't have both, you have to have 3-point shooting. You cannot win games 3-2 when they're hitting threes and you're hitting twos, trading twos for threes. I should say, and that's what this Indiana team is built around. It's not that they don't have the capability to shoot the three. They have nothing but reluctance to shoot the three. They are one of the most efficient teams at hitting threes in the country, but they take the least amount. They're like 16th from the bottom out of 300 on attempts per game.
Right.
And we'll see how that works. We'll talk more about that with the guys as they join us today, but we've got to take a break. We've got Bob Kravitz on the line today, Kyle Neddenriep, and Rick Bozich. Looking forward to all. Brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market. Looking forward to being back in there. It's just wrecking the schedule right now with the travel. But we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio and the great Bob Kravitz right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Good morning, Mr. Kravitz.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good.
Doing any NCAA basketball traveling or no?
Indeed, going to Columbus tomorrow.
And that's for Purdue, right?
Purdue, yeah. to hell with Albany.
Especially with all the weather going on.
I know. It's supposed to be really bad up there.
Yeah, Jim's supposed to be flying out this afternoon. We'll see.
Good luck. Bring your shovel.
If he can hear us right now, I'm not sure what's.
Yeah, I had to change my wardrobe.
What's that hat, Jim?
That's Dr. Hops, man.
Oh, Dr. Hops. Okay. I went with the Maple Leafs.
I saw your story yesterday.
Oh, my tweet.
Oh, tweet, yeah. So is he a Maple Leafs fan?
Yes, very much so. I just grabbed a hat. You know, I got a million hats.
Right. Right.
He's like,
is he from Toronto?
Toronto, yes.
Okay, I knew he was from Canada. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, he's from just outside of Toronto.
Yeah, he looks Canadian.
He looks Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
It's a joke. I've never seen a 7-foot Canadian.
Hey. He's actually half Chinese.
I knew he had some Asian in him, which of course we've seen 7-foot Asian people before, but that's also an anomaly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, his mom is a tall lady. I don't know about his dad.
I'm going to go with yes.
Highly likely.
Oh, what is?
All right, guys, 30 seconds. Go ahead and bring us back in.
Order Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington offers a variety of freshly made fare, tying their roots in limestone with their love of Southern eateries. With quality, local, and organic food as their main focus, Southern Stone strives to always provide their guests with an exceptional dining experience. With weekly specials, quick, attentive service, Southern Stone Restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, March 15th. It's tournament week. Things are kicked off already with the NIT going, the first 4 in playing, or whatever you want to call it, play-in games. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I cannot complain.
Let's go.
It is
tournament, man.
Tournament, baby.
Can't wait.
I'm ready. It's underway, actually. Started watching the play-in games last night, and I was thinking, just make this part of the field. There's already, they already go through enough conference, the pre-conference, the conference season, the conference tournament. They got to have a play-in game. Just make it part of the field. Let them. It's not going to change anything. You're just making kids go through more grief. Now there's something else they missed. They lost out on.
It wouldn't break my heart if they didn't have a first four altogether. Honestly, I mean, now, I mean, that said, you go back over the years, we have had teams from the first four make it to the NCAA Final Four. George Mason did it. VCU did it. There's another school that did it that's escaping my brain right now. But we've seen teams in the first four who've actually made it to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, make it part of the field. I mean, because nothing changes. They're still playing.
64 is a good number.
Well, I'm just saying it's a made up hype number.
It is.
These play-in games.
I agree. I mean, hey, gave me something to do last night besides watch each.
But here's another thing: we're going to watch the games regardless.
Oh my God, yes.
All they have to say is they're just playing for this. It doesn't matter what they call it.
That's
true.
That's good. It's good for Dayton. I like Dayton. My daughter.
I think it should stay. It should stay in Dayton.
I agree.
Yeah, I know. I don't suggest any change there, but things get real tomorrow as it all starts, I guess. But the NIT has already started. Rutgers. We were talking about them, and we see this a lot. Rutgers, a team who gets snubbed from the NCAA tournament and turn right around and lose in the first round of the NIT. Yeah, I don't know if that's disappointment, if what that is, but we see that happen a lot.
Yeah, well, you got teams that feel like they should have made the big dance, and it's just it's emotionally difficult to bounce back from that when you think that when you got to play in the quote unquote losers tournament, which is it's not what it is. I mean, you still have to have a winning record, but when you play in the secondary tournament, yeah, it's mentally difficult, and it's not surprising to me that a team like Rutgers lost, as much as I think they're a pretty damn good team.
I agree. So what are you looking forward to in the start of the NCAA tournament?
Well, I am headed out to Columbus tomorrow morning for the interviews and stuff in the afternoon, and I want to see how Purdue reacts. I mean, we know they're going to win their first game by about 40. But, second round, if they got to deal with Memphis, they got some athletes. That could be a little challenging. It's funny. I've been saying all this time that I think Indiana is going to go further than Purdue. And then I just did my bracket this morning with my wife. I had Purdue going further.
Well, and understandably, because there's a huge difference in the first round games that the teams are playing.
I mean, Kent State barely lost to Houston, I think by 5 points. They barely lost to Gonzaga. I mean, Kent State's a pretty good team, and I don't think IU is gonna walk all over them. I think it's gonna be a tight game.
No, they've won 10 out of their last 11, and it's the MAC. But let me tell you, there are some good teams in the MAC. Those top 4 teams: Ball State, Kent State, Akron, and there's another one that's escaping me. But there was some good basketball. All 4 of those teams won over 20 games. So Kent State won 10 out of 11 in a league that has 4 teams that won 20 games.
Right.
So
they're pretty good.
And then of course you laid out the preseason schedule they had against a great non-conference schedule, of which they played very well. So yeah, this is going to be this may be the toughest game that they would have in the first 2 games, because Drake might upset Miami. Not that Drake would not be a tough game. Kent State, who knows? But I think all 4 of those teams are tough. Miami may be without their big guy, so that may hurt them. But Drake, I've heard several people pick them or say, hey, watch out for this team. And then, of course, we already know about Kent State and Indiana.
Right. No, it's gonna be fun. I think Purdue's got a pretty. I'm excited about. I mean, because it's all about me, Jim. I want to go to New York City next week. Go back to my old hunting ground. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Purdue's got a pretty soft approach to the Sweet 16 and maybe even the Elite Eight.
Well, why don't you go to New York for me today?
No. There's a difference, my friend, between Manhattan and Albany. They may as well be in two different countries.
Yeah, I noticed that by watching the Weather Channel in great detail yesterday.
Yes, Albany. Do you have your sled dogs ready to go?
They're down there barking right now.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, make sure they're well fed. It's a long trip.
Yeah. I've definitely changed my wardrobe. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So, Albany. Have fun out there. I'll be in Manhattan looking for something to do.
Well, no, Manhattan's the second weekend, right?
Second weekend, yeah. I'm assuming that Purdue is going to get to the Sweet 16 at the very least. If they don't, it's not going to be pleasant.
If Indiana's manages to get to the second weekend, I'll be having a barbecue.
Where are they?
Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that.
And it'll be a lot warmer.
It will. It'll
feel like
I like both teams getting to the Sweet 16. I don't know how much deeper they can go. What's interesting to me about Purdue, I mentioned this to Matt Painter the other day, not that he cares what I think, but really Purdue is trying to do something that hasn't been done in like 40 years, which is win a national title with a center-dominated team. I mean, you really got to go back to Patrick Ewing to come up with a team that's won the NCAA tournament that has a big, dominant center like a Patrick Ewing, or in this case, a Zach Edey. So, we always hear that it's all about the guards in the NCAA tournament. I think Purdue is going to try and do something unique, and I'm interested to watch that.
Well, I was just talking about before you joined us that the college game has gone to one of you've got to shoot the three, and Indiana, that is not their game. They are efficient with the three, but they're very stingy with the three. They don't shoot it.
Shoot a lot.
And this tournament lends itself to a team that can do that.
Right. If they're going to do anything, they need Miller Kopp and Galloway and maybe a Bates. They need them to be willing shooters and to be accurate shooters. Because there's only so far you can go with Trace.
Well, and I was going to say the same thing along with Purdue. I know that they have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Mason Gillis at times. Yeah. And Mason Gillis has been kind of like he's Indiana's Miller Kopp or whatever. Sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. But these guards, Purdue's guards, that's why I was going back to that. They're going to have to be able to shoot the ball as well absolutely. In this tournament, or with Zach Edey or not. I don't think Purdue can get as far as they'd like to if that's not the case.
There's no question. I mean, I was at Purdue practice yesterday, and Fletcher Lawyer was in the gym by himself shooting threes, and it's clearly in his head, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. But God knows he's working on it. But they won the Big Ten tournament final against Penn State, going 2 for 20 between Lawyer, Newman, and Smith. You can't get away with that stuff in the NCAA tournament, at least once you get to the second week.
No, and that's my point actually for both Indiana and Purdue, because they're both center-led teams. The offense runs through the center for both of those teams.
Well, that's exactly right. And I mean, look, if they can get somebody to go off I mean, they can both be really dangerous teams, but if they're not hitting their threes, this could be very disappointing. But I think they're both going to make it to the second weekend.
Well, I definitely hope so. But for that to be Indiana's going to have that's a tough road to hoe.
They got a tougher road than Purdue for sure. And
I mean, I think that Indiana
1 versus 4.
Indiana might have the toughest road of any 4 seed there is. That's a tough bracket with Drake and Miami and Kent State to start.
Yeah,
Kent State has got to be the toughest. That's got to be the toughest opening game for any 4 seed or above.
I'd have to look at it, but I'm inclined to agree. I mean, they've been playing so well, but wouldn't it be nice to beat Rob Sender? Wouldn't it not be nice in this NCAA tournament to not only beat Rob Senderoff, but to beat Kelvin Sampson as well down the road?
That's and for folks who have not been familiar, Robert Senderoff is the coach of Kent State, former assistant to Kelvin Sampson back during the period, whenever you want to call it. He was the first to get the boot and a show cause. Mm-hmm. And then Kelvin Sampson followed, getting it out and a show cause. And both of those guys are back in college basketball now, and both in Indiana's bracket.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. Now, I heard Senderoff on the radio this morning. He was actually quite good. He took responsibility for the cheating he did at Indiana, at least, as much as you can on a radio show. But, boy, I would love to see IU take it to Kelvin Sampson and knock them out. That would be so sweet. I disliked Kelvin Sampson from the minute I heard they hired him at his opening press conference. I got the hell booed out of me by the fans because I was asking Kelvin all these tough questions about his cheating background and the fact that he couldn't graduate kids. Boo. So Kelvin, the hell with him. The hell with him.
Exactly. I agree. Let's look. We can wait because there'll be that time, but Houston is a team that is dangerous because they can score, but I don't really know how good they really are. I know they've played a couple of teams. They've only played like 5 quad one games total. Yeah. So don't really know how good they are. They're a mysterious team.
A little bit. But I mean, say what you want about Kelvin. He's a good coach. I mean, he's a cheating dog and all this other stuff, or he was. But he can coach now. I mean, he was in the 5 years he had the show cause. He was in the NBA doing some really excellent things. So, that's going to be a tough matchup for Indiana. I mean, if Sasser is back and healthy, I don't know how they get past him, but boy, I'm going to have fun watching it.
Yeah, that will be that's one of those great things that the committee is known for doing.
Yeah, just by accident.
Yeah. And then, Kentucky playing Providence and Providence having a former Kentucky player on it.
Oh, is that right? I did not know that.
There's that. Yeah. How about Marquette and the job Shaka Smart has done?
I love Shaka Smart, man. I dealt with him a lot when VCU went on their run many years ago and faced Butler in the national semifinals, like the Cinderella semi. And I love the way his teams play. I haven't seen them play a hell of a lot. I don't know if they play the same kind of 40 minutes of hell that VCU did, but I've always been a big Shaka Smart fan, and I think Marquette's going to get really deep in this tournament.
They're a team that I think can go far as well. They're just, I really like them. They're well coached. They're fun to watch. There are a couple more games tonight, Bob. A little storyline. You got Steve Alford and Bobby Hurley going against each other with Nevada and Arizona State on the late game tonight.
Actually, I'm that will be fun. I'm more interested in was it Fairleigh Dickinson and Texas Southern?
Yeah.
That's a sentence I never thought I'd utter in this lifetime, but I'd like to see who Purdue is playing, and I guarantee you Purdue would like to see who Purdue is playing so they can get to work on somebody. I mean, they're already at work on both these teams, but whoever they play, let's face it, Purdue is going to be Purdue. They're going to stick it inside to Edey and let the big man eat, and that's what Purdue is going to do. And you hope that the perimeter shooting starts to show up a little bit in like a low pressure game like this first one.
Well, if they get Texas Southern, they will be getting a team that has a 15-20 record.
Huh. Okay.
Would that be the worst record, I wonder, ever in the history of the tournament?
I don't know. It's got to be close, doesn't it?
It's got to be close.
I'm sure some knob team won a league tournament with a sub 500 record before, but yeah, 15-20, that doesn't scream NCAA tournament, does it?
No, but that we were talking about that with someone the other day. That's why these conference tournaments are stupid. What happens if you have a team that happens to get hurt, and then one of them gets hot and they're a loser? It is what it is, right?
It is what it is, and that's
washes out the wash.
It's one of the things that makes it kind of fun. But I think we're looking at Fairleigh Dickinson of they're somewhere in New Jersey. I don't know where in New Jersey, but they're somewhere in New Jersey.
Yes, they are. What's up next for you, sir?
Well, I have a big investigative piece that's going Thursday or Friday morning on which answers the questions. If you gave Zach Edey 10 uncontested threes, how many would he hit? How many do you think?
3.
He thought he can. Well, I don't want to give the whole story away. Most of his teammates thought 2 or 3. He thought 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, of course, you're going to have a little more confidence in yourself, but
of course,
and that's probably because he's probably hit 4 or 5 after he shot 20 in a row and counted that next set of 10.
Right, right. Well, he's got a good touch. He's got great form.
He shoots 73% from the free throw line. So
I know. So you would think getting him outside, he'd be okay, but I don't know. Well, I told him in practice I want to see 10. I want to see 10 threes.
As big as he is, seriously, I would think that he could learn because he's strong.
Lopez. Look at
he could shoot those like free throws.
Yeah, I mean it's the same motion to some degree. I mean, I think he could do it because I think at the next level he's going to have to make those shots.
Well, and I'm thinking that in the NBA, it's not a center's game anymore, but he's a 7'4" guy that you don't move. So he's a little different. He's a little
different, but I look at 7-footers in the NBA now, and most of them are knocking down threes, and I really think Edey could be unstoppable if he could develop.
Absolutely. He's to have the size that he has because he's a mountain. If you haven't been next to him, people, he's not just tall. He's thick. He is thick. He's not skinny at all.
No.
I mean, if you bump into him, you're going to stop. He's not going to move.
I told him yesterday, we were talking about hockey, and I said, man, when I was in net, if I saw your ass coming down the wing, lining up a slap shot at 7 foot tall, I'd be out of the net and just saying, have at it, big man.
Yep. Now, I thought he was a goalie.
Slap shot.
He was a wing?
I think he was a forward, yeah.
Now, that had to give him great balance.
I would think it'd be the opposite. The taller you are, the less balance you would have. It's the little guy.
I'm just saying, having overdone that way he would have to have developed great balance.
I think we see a lot of his hockey ability in the way he moves his feet playing basketball, because in hockey, it's all about moving your feet and staying active. And you watch him defensively, he's not Boban Marjanovic, okay? this guy can really move. We saw it in the Big Ten tournament where he was defending. So, no, I think he's developed a lot of his skills from playing other sports.
Here's a little dipsy do for you. Michigan just beat Toledo in the NIT 98-80. Kent State beat Toledo twice, 75-63, 93-78. Indiana beat Michigan twice. So I don't know.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It still comes back to this is going to be a very, very tough game for Indiana because I wish I could get Mike Lewis on. I'll try.
By the way, it was 90-80, not 98-80. It was only a 10-point win. Not that it makes that much of a difference, but just wanted to throw that out there.
Perfect. But thanks for the info. Cool. Appreciate it. But all right, brother. Lucky you.
Columbus.
Enjoy your drive.
I will. You enjoy
no precipitation drive.
You enjoy your sled dog ride.
Got my galoshes.
Galoshes. I don't think I've heard that word in a long time. Galoshes.
I know that's why I brought it up.
Robbie, put on your galoshes.
That's something K-Bro would. That's something K-Bro grew up hearing.
K-Bro.
Kevin Brockway.
Oh, really?
Well, you know, he's from the not the is he from the Bronx or
he's from New York somewhere.
Yeah, he's not from Brooklyn, not from Manhattan, not from Long Island or Staten Island. The Bronx or what's one more I'm missing?
Bronx and Brooklyn.
Yeah, it must be the Bronx then he's from.
Okay.
His mom was a cop.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's funny story.
Yeah.
He's a funny dude. All right, brother. Well, enjoy yours, and we'll talk at you next week and get to recap and see what's going on.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care.
Have a great one. The great Robert Kravitz. Make sure you give him a follow and follow him on The Athletic for his great content and obviously his piece coming up out Thursday or Friday. We've got more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming up here, brought to you by our good friends from the Ugly Grouper down on Anna Maria Island, Florida, whenever you're down and around there, just west of Sarasota. Best restaurant on the island, people. I cannot wait to get down there. I'm missing it. I wish this region was there. I wish we were going to Orlando. But we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's the deal.
So
we'll have about 10 minutes here, and then Mr. Neddenriep.
I've got to get to my man. I'm going to end up screwing up. Now, I wonder if most brackets, are you still allowed to go in, even though they've already got the
Yeah, you're allowed to go in until Thursday when the real games tip off.
Yeah, man, I have not had time to look at brackets.
Brackets.
You want to talk about brackets?
That's actually pretty funny.
We haven't played worth of shit. You want to talk about brackets? Okay. Round of 64. Round of 64. In the west, in the south, in the east, in the Midwest. So the South and the Midwest for tomorrow. In the Midwest, number one is Houston.
Is it true there's not a single game played from the other two regions tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. Has that always been the case?
Well, yeah, you've got 32 games.
I know, but I don't think it's divided specifically by region like that.
Yeah, it is.
It could be.
Yeah, it is because they play Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that all the games are. I know what you're saying, but let me see.
And I know what you're saying, that they're not all in the, but they are. No, that's not correct.
Right now. I'm looking at a game. I'm looking at games from each region.
You are correct. You are correct.
Okay.
What is tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Wednesday or Thursday. That's the 16th.
What day
First
is
game
tomorrow?
is
Thursday?
West Virginia, Maryland.
So Indiana doesn't play till Friday. So Indiana is in the same region, but they don't play the same day as Houston.
Yes.
Houston plays tomorrow, Indiana plays Friday. But they're in different places, but the same region.
All right, here we go.
Feast Market and Cellar offers an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff to help you with your selections. Feast also provides a wide variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, a coffee bar, bread, pastries, all made fresh and mouthwatering. Stop by Feast Market and Cellar today.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this 15th day of March. It's a Wednesday. You talk about halfway point of the week and halfway point of the month. Can you believe that we are halfway to April already, people? My goodness gracious.
And how many days until spring officially starts? Is that the 20th, the 21st, 22nd? I know it's around that area. I don't know what day specifically it is. I think it's the 20th.
Man, I'm still getting over daylight savings time. I have no idea.
I wish we could do away with daylight savings. It has been.
Well, they're trying to just do it permanently.
I know, that's what I saw. I've seen that on the legislation or whatever, but I just don't get why it's such a difficult process, like why that can't already just be taken care of.
Man, welcome to life. Everything's a difficult process. Hey, don't forget, if you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting a home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Spring's coming around, new houses, house market out there right now. Yeah. Anyway, anybody going to New York by chance? That would be interesting, because let's see, what is the weather in New York? Let's play what is the weather in New York right now. WATHER, weather in Albany. I wonder how much total snow they received. I was watching on the Weather Channel, and New York just was getting hammered. It's not really saying, but it's still going to be chilly. It's definitely changed my wardrobe that I had planned on taking. And from last week to Chicago, that's for certain. Digging out some Arctic wear. The difficulty is just going to be getting around to and from the stadium arena, because it won't be going very far. That's for daggone sure. I wonder if this affects any travel. I doubt that it will. It seems like everything is tapered off, so that won't affect the airports. And like I said, those people are used to this stuff, man. They can get hammered, and the snow may be still there, but they'll have it looking like it never happened, other than the snow piled up. The average high in March in Albany is 47. So I won't be expecting any burst of weather there. And that won't affect the basketball, luckily. Brian says if Kopp catches and does his little pump fake and drive, they're in trouble. Shoot it, Miller Kopp. Be ready to catch and shoot. He's tried to develop a different way of scoring the ball here of late, I've seen. But that's because Indiana had been used to just having some kind of wide open threes, and teams were closing out on them, especially Penn State. Penn State did a hell of a job closing out on Indiana on their three-point attempts. And they were double teaming still, and Indiana was still not able to pass out of it quickly enough to get it around to get that three-point shot off. And that amazed me because they were having to pass out of the paint. And yet Penn State was still able to close out on Indiana's three-point shooting. That's the scary part. That's worrisome for Indiana, for Indiana, is they're letting teams close them out on three-point shooting as they're double teaming in the paint. So that means IU's game plan is just not good enough, or Indiana is not quick enough. But something has got to change offensively, because this is not a tournament you're going to win with 2-point shots. You could, and Indiana's draw, I'm not sure how many games you win with just 2-point shooting. I'm pretty certain that Kent State does not have someone like Trace Jackson Davis, but I've got to research them a little bit more. Are they a good 3-point shooting team? If so, that's been a problem for Indiana, defending the three. And if any good 3-point shooting team is going to be a threat to Indiana, because 3-2 wins every time. So the Hoosiers have got to pick up their defense. Of course, not having Xavier, that's a loss. That's where his loss is. His loss is showing up probably more on the defensive end than the offensive end. If they had Xavier Johnson back and he didn't score a single point, but was just playing defense, that would have made a huge difference in Indiana's win-loss column. Without question. Just his defense alone. Doug is saying that Kent State as a team shoots 33%, which is not all that great. But they have to defend them in the per game situation. You can't let guys get hot. And I know they play in the MAC, but they played a tough non-conference schedule, and the MAC is a little bit better than you think. All right, Ball State finished 4th in the MAC at 20-12. Michael Lewis's Ball State Cardinals. Right above them, Akron was 22-11. In second was 27-8 Toledo, and Kent State finished ahead of them, 28-6, with a 6-game winning streak. That's pretty good. That's an 82% win percentage. But I'll dig into their stats a little bit more later on today, or on my trip when I have more time to do it. Kent State doesn't shoot at a high clip, but they can get hot. I use it 37%, but they don't shoot that many. What are the attempts? How many shots per game does Kent State put up versus IU, which is very, very few? Indiana's percentage is kind of skewed because they don't they take this. It's I think it's like the 16th fewest 3-point attempts in Division I out of what 312, 20 teams, whatever it is. Albany just got 10 inches at the airport. Yay, the snow is over. High winds. That's great. That's what you want. That's been the scariest moment of a flight for me. I was flying into Dulles. No, was it Dulles? No, it was, I don't know. It was Washington. Could have been Ronald Reagan Airport, but they had to keep circling because the winds were so high. They couldn't land. So then when they finally said, all right, they're going to land. Well, instead of approaching the runway straight on, they were, and unbeknownst to me or anybody else, but they were approaching the runway from a perpendicular flight pattern, and then all of a sudden banked in this hard 90-degree left turn and down. And I was like, what the H? And yeah, that was a little scary, but he Sully Sullenberged it right down. Good job. So not looking forward to going into that, but it is what it is. Doug says Kent State shot 797 threes. That sounds like a lot. That cannot be accurate. Right? I mean, is that the accurate number out of how many games? Where's my calculator, man? They played 34 games. So someone do the math on that real quick. What was that number? 797? 797 divided by what I say, 34. 34 games. That's 23 3-point shots per game if that's accurate. I mean, is that really the number they took? Got to get Kent State pulled up. Their stats pulled up, man. Come on. Because that's not an unbelievably high number, but it is a routinely high number. Indiana probably averages 7 per game. Just guessing. See if I can get the Indiana stats pulled up. But yeah, I would guess Indiana shoots about 7 per game. I don't, just going completely off memory. Someone will pull that up. I can't get to it quick enough. Got too much going on. But so they're shooting 23 threes a game. That's the point. You don't want them to get, someone mentioned, if someone happens to get hot, that's the problem. When you're already putting up that many, you just have to have a few more fall. It's just like baseball, man. Someone who hits 290 for the season, it just took a couple more dinkers to fall. But we've got to take a quick break. For those of you in the market for a home down in the Louisville, southern Indiana area, whether it's Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott, Washington counties, Barbara Pop Real Estate Services have served those communities for over 3 decades, and no one can help you get into the home you want more so than Barbara Pop. Reach out to her, Barbara at barbarapop.com, or our friend Matt Lincoln at barbarapop.com. Back with Kyle Neddenriep to get you caught up on what's happening on the statewide tournament right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore. Hey, brother, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Jim?
Oh, not much going on.
Yeah.
Is this semi-state weekend?
Yeah.
So you can only make it to one.
Yeah, I'm going to Newcastle.
Who all's up there?
Brownsburg, Ben Davis, Jennings County, and Bloomington North.
All right, here we go, guys. Your doorstep once a week. That's right. It's the fastest, simplest, and easiest way to avoid decision fatigue. You pick your plan and pick up at BB's Market with no extra charge. So leave the heavy lifting to us and enjoy healthy eating with stocked meals in your fridge. Order online today at thefreshfork.com. Fresh Fork is a proud partner of WOW Network. This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, March 15th, brought to you by our good friends at the Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Great place to catch a game, go for dinner with the family, or just meet friends for lunch. A great Cajun cuisine made fresh each and every day at Courtroom Sports Grill. Joined now by Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and just like everything else, Kyle, we are deep into tournament play on the boys basketball side in Indiana. We're getting ready to start it on college basketball. It's already started for that matter, basically, but deep into it for the boys. As a matter of fact, semi-state weekend, which now you return to a more familiar format of 2 games in a single day, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the first year going back to that format. So you got the 1-game regional, and now the 2-game semi-state. So a little flip-flop from what it's been here in the recent history.
What do you think? What difference has that created, or have you seen any differences?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of a way to have more teams involved later in the tournament again, and probably a financial aspect to that, getting more people at these communities. You get a chance to have the 8 semi-state sites this weekend that are in the South. You've got Southport, you've got Seymour, you got Washington, you've got Newcastle, all those obviously great places to watch games. And, so it kind of opens up that door to have a Newcastle part of things again in the semi-state rounds. And that's actually where I'll be on Saturday. But, in the North, you got, Michigan City, you've got Elkhart, you've got Logansport, and the Crowley Center at Lafayette Jeff. So, you got 8 real great places to watch games, big cathedrals of basketball. But, part of it's a financial, you obviously have more teams playing later. You're getting more money to these communities, more money, more people in the gyms, ideally, hopefully, I would think. And, that's part of it. Now, and I always thought too, like, and every year's different, but I always thought it kind of lagged a little bit. Once you get down to 1 game per week, you go from the hot and heavy sectional where it's games all over the place, and then you wait a week to play regional, which was a good day, obviously. And then you wait another week to play just 1 single game in the semi-state, and then in a whole nother week to play the state finals. So it did kind of drag, in my opinion. I think ideally you maybe eliminate one of those rounds, play an old school, state finals. That's what I would I think that'd be awesome. But, that you probably need 2 days for that. And I don't know if you can get Gamebridge Fieldhouse for 2 days. So I think that's maybe maybe ever keep that from happening, which I don't know that that's possible anyway. But
where were you talking about, Hinkle?
No, playing a two game state finals like it used to be, like and eliminate one of these other rounds. But yeah, I don't know if that'll ever happen. But anyway, I just I think that's part of it's financial, part of it's trying to get a little bit more momentum at the end of the tournament. And I somewhat agree with that. I don't know. I don't love the blind draw part. I don't think of the semis, doing another blind draw. That seemed kind of excessive to me, but it's a chance for IHSA to have another show. So I think that's probably the reason why. But to teach their own. I mean, do what you do. And it was fine, but maybe it creates some intrigue or whatever. But yeah, so I'm definitely willing to see how this works for a couple of years, and I don't mind it. I don't mind the change, and I think it creates a pretty good setup for Saturday. Really, you got where I'm going at Newcastle, you got the number one team in Ben Davis. You got a Jennings County team that's going to bring the whole county, I assume, and Brownsburg's there for the first time in 15 years in the semi-state, and then Bloomington North, which is kind of a cardiac team the way they've won the last couple of games. So. It should be fun. I don't know how big the crowd, I think like the common fan who's interested in Ben Davis at this point, there's a lot of people out there at Southport for the Cathedral game who just didn't even, have a rooting interest, really, just general fans who wanted to see Ben Davis. I don't know that they'll drive all the way to Newcastle necessarily, but I think there is a team like this, you kind of get people on board like, oh, I want to see this 30-0 team play. And that's kind of cool. Or they want to come see Cannon Catchings play for Brownsburg, or they want to see JQ Roberts play for Bloomington. So you kind of get some of those people who come out who may just want to see these guys play in person.
How is I'm at Seymour? I don't understand why they have the 3A. Well, they have the 3A. It's all 3A, which kind of makes no sense to me because you've got Guerin Catholic and Beech Grove playing in there as opposed to Bloomington North and Jennings County.
That's the change they made is all these sites are just one single class. So that's part of the change they made was just to have, there's no more 1A and 4A playing a single game in the semi-state round. That's been eliminated. Now it's just you get all four teams who are kind of vying for the same prize in one gym, so that's
and I'm sure Jennings County fans will be happy playing at Newcastle because it's an iconic place as well, but I'm sure they were also looking forward to finally making it to Seymour and playing in the world's largest high school gym, but that got changed.
Well, they were. I was actually down there Monday. Yeah, I got a story come out on Jennings County should be later today sometime, but but they played the sectional and regional there, so that you guess they can't complain.
Right?
They were definitely hoping for that, but yeah, I mean, and they'll bring. They do start there. One part of this too that I think is probably overlooked, or maybe it's not that important, but there a lot of schools go on spring break at the end of this week, so. You did make this change, but how many? You're going to have some people going on spring break. Always an unfortunate part of all this is where spring break falls, and the fact that people are, just fleeing for Florida every spring break from Indiana. So a lot of people miss out on the state tournament, at the end of it. But, so that's part of this too. I think Jennings County will still have a great crowd. I think people will probably hold off a day to go if they are going somewhere. But yeah, so that's part of it. It's just, and that is the change. And I do admit, now I can't, there's some years where I didn't get a chance to cover a 2A team or a 1A team that much. You get to see them play at semi-state, and you kind of miss that opportunity now. But anything you do, there's a positive and negative, or, I think, people can argue this change wasn't necessary. I'd say credit for trying something different. Maybe it works. Maybe you go back to the way it used to be. I don't know.
Just Robert asked a quick question, just for argument's sake. Does anyone believe class basketball has watered down the results for Mr. Basketball, and why many Indiana Mr. Basketballs are so underwhelming now? I don't think so, because I still think they picked the best player, and that ends up being who he is. So I don't think that they've had
I think the Mr. Basketballs have been pretty strong for Indiana for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. I feel like there's been a lot of pretty good Mr. Basketballs even recently. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Let's see. Yes, from an old player from class. I think he means they don't pick. Is there a Mr. Basketball for each class?
No,
I didn't think so. So yeah, I don't know if he is under that misunderstanding. There's still just one Mr. Basketball selected.
Yeah, Kentucky. I know Kentucky does that, or maybe it's Tennessee, or I think Tennessee. Yeah, Kentucky has one Mr. But Tennessee, I know, and some other states they do multiple. They'll have a Mr. Basketball, Miss Basketball for like whatever 8 classes or whatever it is. But yeah, here we only do the one.
How about the tournament sites, man? You can make a documentary just on this round of the tournament for Indiana high school basketball. If you could make it in a day from the start of one game and try to make it through every location. You don't have to stay for the whole game. Just get you a piece of a game at each one and roll on, because you go from the Hatchet House down in Southwest Indiana. I don't know if you'd probably go up to Seymour next to the largest gym at Lloyd Scott, and then up to Southport, the Southport Field House. Let's see, which would be are these all up north besides? Yeah. So next you just head straight to the Newcastle, I guess, to the big to Field House, and then everybody else is up north. I've never been to the Crawley Center at Lafayette. Jeff, the Berry Bowl, what's that like?
Berry Bowl's cool. It's new. It's a newer feel to it than and I haven't been in the Crowley Center since I know they redid the bleachers and whatnot. It's a really neat play. I haven't covered a lot. I've got maybe, I don't know, a handful of games there. One year covered Griffith and Marion. Griffith had that bus accident and then had to play on a later date. Went up there to cover that game, but yeah, it's a neat one. I mean, all of those ones that are in the semi-state round now are really cool. And I've been to Elkhart and I've been to Michigan City. I would like to. I haven't been there for games though, so I'd like to do that at some point. Because those are great places. Elkhart is really, people around here probably haven't been there a lot, but it's a really neat one. It's probably underrated, really. And then, of course, Southport's my favorite. Because I've covered so many games there over the years. Just love that place. And I don't think there's a better place to watch a game, to be honest with you. You just feel the history in there. I love all these places. I can't lie, but Southport's the one I've been at the most, so I just enjoy that one a lot. But all these, I don't know if you could make it because it's all, the games aren't staggered. If you could stagger the games out, then Jim Coyle should go on the road and do a Jim Coyle documentary on all this.
I would follow behind you because you could hit them all too. But that would make it better. I'm surprised that they haven't done some kind of stagger in some sort, because man, that's a lot that people would probably take in. But it's not like these gyms aren't full.
Yeah, the problem is you have if you're going to play a championship game at 8, you can't play too late the semifinal or whatever. So you got to play them early, play them at the same time, give teams a chance to rest. If it was a one game like it used to be, then yeah, I think you could stagger it a little more and let people see. They did stagger them somewhat. I think their start times were 1 and 4 and 4 and 7 in some places, but yeah, it's hard to get to, and I guess that's what streaming. You can stream games now or whatever and watch them, but it's not quite the same as being there. Not at all.
No, it is not, sir. And enjoy your weekend of basketball. And I'm heading out for mine tomorrow. Today. Hell,
where's IU at? No, I forget.
Albany, New York.
Albany. That's right.
Have you been watching the Weather Channel by chance lately?
That's right. I did see that. I'm so deep in high school. I got to watch the end of the Pitt game last night, and I was cheering for Nike Sabande from Pitt. He's a Christmas Addicts grad, so I was glad to see them win.
Oh, very, very cool. Well,
Where do they go? Do you remember?
They I don't even remember now. They play they play Iowa State next, but I don't know where that game is. But I picked Pitt in my bracket because of him. So I covered him when he was like a sophomore. He was like a JV / varsity, and always got to know him a little bit and liked him, and obviously has gone on, had a great career.
Well, we appreciate you, sir.
You bet. Thanks, Jim.
From the Indy Star, make sure you give him a follow and follow him on at the Indy Star for complete coverage of all Indiana high school sports. We're back with the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Right after this, brought to you by our friends at Metalworks.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a
Rick driving to Albany?
Yes, we are.
Are you really?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
You're driving to Albany.
Yes, I am. I'm just a little bit south of Cincinnati right now. We drive everywhere, brother. Drove to Minneapolis last year for the women's Final Four. Drove to Jacksonville one year for the NCAA tournament.
So
are you flying up there?
Yeah. So what is it? 14-hour drive? 15?
I mean, it says 12, but with
really?
Yeah,
I thought it was 12 to New York
6.
City. So I guess maybe just because it's a different direction.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be 13.5 to 14 because we don't know what kind of weather we're gonna run in once we get closer to Albany.
Hey, Rick, could you flip your camera sideways if you can?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
By the time you get there, the roads will be clear.
I'm glad you're confident of that.
Well, they're pros at that, man. This is
what time are you flying?
Yes, sir.
On what, Southwest?
No, it is United.
Through
fly out at about 4. I'm hoping they have the runways all cleared off when we land.
So what time do you get there?
I think it's like 8. 8-ish.
Are you in the lovely Hampton Inn Suites or whatever it is?
No, I stayed in an Airbnb.
Did you really? Good for you.
Right by the stadium.
Okay, good for you.
Man, I found a gem of a place up in Chicago. Right by the United Center. I ended up walking there on Saturday, and I'm like, "This is great. I'll do it again."
So what happens if you get one an Airbnb? Then when you leave early, you still got to pay for the extra days?
I think probably, but it depends on how it's set up first. But probably it's just like a hotel.
Okay. All right. Well, I use 2:00 tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The start of the
we're,
stuff.
We're coming for Coach Patiner too.
Oh, nice. All right, here we go, guys.
Food and custom metal art. Check out their custom growlers. Metalworks Brewing Company has an updated menu, new brews, and will be offered in all Endeavor Hospitality restaurants. Come taste with Dr. Hops' Brewing. Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday, the 15th of March. We are dead set in the middle of the middle of the week, middle of the month, and joined by the man at the top, the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Jim. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow and seeing some good basketball this weekend.
I see you're on your way to Albany, as we discussed in the break, being chauffeured, I assume, by Mr. Alec from inside the hall.
No, Alex isn't going. I'm with Dalton Godby, one of our TV reporters. So it's the two of us. We're going to try and avoid this box here in the middle of I-71 and we're going to get to Columbus and decide whether we're going to take the northern route through Buffalo, Erie, Syracuse, and whatever else, or we're going to take the central route through Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania.
You know, I think we could make this a game. We could pull up the map and which way should Rick go? Which way does Rick go?
I put that out there on Twitter yesterday, and I got some very nice woman from Albany who doesn't even follow me on Twitter somehow saw it, and she assured me that the roads would be fine. So I guarantee you, there are no rookies when it comes to this, man. They're pros. No, they are pros. But
so that won't be a problem. What will be a problem for Indiana is Kent State if they don't play great defense, because this is probably the toughest 4-13 matchup in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I've tweeted before the draw that the 2 13 seeds you didn't want to see were Kent State and Iona. And Indiana got Kent State. I mean, Rob Sendroff is a solid coach. He's been there at least 10 to 12 years and established his program. He thought he was going to have a good team this year, so he scheduled aggressively, took his team to Gonzaga on the road and played them tough, took his team to Houston, lost by 5. I think they played Charleston. I'm not sure if that game was home or away, and those were their 3 non-conference losses. And I watched them play actually Saturday night when they beat Toledo in the Mid-American Conference Championship game, and they're a good team. If Indiana doesn't take it seriously, they will get beat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they finished at the top of the MAC, which winning 10 of their last 11 as well in the league that has 4 20-game winners. Michael Lewis and his Ball State Cardinals finished 4th in that league. And they played pretty well this year, but this is a Kent State team that played a tough non-conference pre-conference schedule and played it tight. Tight games against Houston, against Gonzaga. Was it Alabama that they played as well? Charleston?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what. But what is their specialty? I mean, they shoot they shoot 23 threes per game, but their percentage is around 33. So they're not.
Yeah, they don't shoot. I think their specialty is they create a lot of turnovers, and they got senior guards. I think one guy might be a 5th-year guard, and so they're very aggressive, they're very physical, and they will get into you defensively and try and turn you over and get you shaken up. And so, and I think they're a decent team in transition too. So can't turn the ball over, and you better get back on defense because they try and score real quick. The one flaw they have, I'd say, is like most teams at the Mid-American Conference level, is they don't have a great big man. I mean, I don't think they're any bigger than 6'8", maybe 6'7", 6'6" across the front. So if Indiana can get the ball to Trace Jackson Davis, he should, have a good game. But I imagine Sendroff will have some kind of a plan to double team him or do something to frustrate him. And I would expect they're also going to pack the middle, like a lot of teams do when they play Indiana for the first time, and say, all right, Galloway, Kopp, and Race, and Tamar Bates, you show us that you can beat us.
Jarrett says avoid the Pennsylvania Turnpike at all costs.
Okay. Thank you, Jarrett.
What is the percentage that Pitino goes to St. John's?
Sounds like 95. He did a big story in the New York Post Sunday night where he called the president of St. John's University a superstar, and that he had a relationship with him back to Providence College. So it sounds like that's pretty much a done deal. The only other job his name's really been associated with is Georgetown, and I'd been told that he wasn't going to get the Georgetown job because of the problems he's had over the last decade as a coach. But St. John's, I don't believe, has won an NCAA tournament game since 2000, and they want to, become relevant again. And hiring Rick Pitino would make them relevant again.
They're going to Ole Miss it, basically, is what.
Or McNeese State with Will Wade. Yeah, I mean these days.
Oh, is that where he is?
Yeah, he got hired yesterday. Will Wade got.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so that's.
They must have made him a strong ass offer.
They must have. Patino plays Connecticut at 4:00 on Friday. So come on over. You can help me question Coach Patino after the game.
Take your visor and use that thing to block that sun for you, man.
All right, I got it here. I'll sit up. I'm sitting up.
No, just don't. No, so it's blocking. I know it's bothering you. You're hitting you right in the eye.
I've got the visor over on the door, but it's.
Oh no, it's fine for us. I just didn't want it to bother you. I thought it was bothering you so much. It doesn't bother us in the slightest. How that's huge for. I think that's smart by St. John's. I put out a tweet with all the stuff Kentucky's going on. Man, they should have got Patino back. I don't care. He's just the best coach in active coach in college basketball right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that UConn Iona game will be fascinating, and I know some people. Pretty sure Jay Billis picked UConn to win it all. I'm not convinced they'll beat Iona in the first game. Because Patino will have a plan. Patino with time to prepare is very dangerous. They'll have a plan for UConn to make it difficult for them. So I'll be very interested to see that game. And then the third, I don't remember the first game that day, but the second game is Iona UConn. The third game is Miami and Drake. And the winner of that game gets the winner of Indiana Kent State. So we got some good games up there in Albany. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of Miami, Drake, who's your daddy asking, was there any I haven't seen an update on Sasser. I've seen that he is a game day decision. He said he thought it was a groin injury. So I don't know.
I would think he would play. I think they sat him out in the AAC to give him more time to heal for the tournament that matters. It's more important for IU's future. Miami has a big man who's
He's not as big as me, though. Just kidding. As we wait for Rick to there we go.
There we go. Somebody was trying to call me. I'm sorry. I had to decline the call. Norman, it's Ochier, Ochier. He missed Miami's last game and a half in the ACC tournament with an ankle injury. If he's out up in Albany, that's a big issue for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and that's what we had been talking about, that they're big man. So, and Drake, I've heard a few guys pick Drake to say, watch out for Drake. Drake, even straight up, could possibly knock Miami off and be a tough game for whomever plays them next.
Yeah, Drake, I think, didn't they win the Valley this year? And their coach is Darren DeVries, who's, I think, in the mix for the Notre Dame job. So, yeah, Drake's good. I mean, we've talked all year about how balanced this season is. There's a lot of teams like that are going to be dangerous to play. And if you don't play well, or if you do what Indiana did in Chicago, which is have these 8 to 10 minute stretches where you can't score, you're not going to win. And to me, the biggest X factor is going to be, what are they going to get from Galloway, Race Thompson, Tamar Bates, and Miller Kopp? At least two of those guys are going to have to come through. I mean, Galloway had one basket, and that was in the last minute of the Penn State game. He's got to be better than that. Kopp's got to take shots. Nobody mentioned him by name, but reading between the lines of what people said in the press conferences, that he passed up some shots, and he's got to be confident shooting the ball, even if he's not totally wide open. He's got to make shots for Indiana to win, and Thompson's got to play better too. I thought he didn't really get after it defensively and rebounding wise. Early in the game against Penn State, as he did in the Iowa game, I thought he was slow to get out on closeouts with his arms down. I mean, this is no time for saving your energy for the next game.
Yeah, Race, I've said this many times, it's been a while, but Race, he gets switched out, and he has allowed more three-pointers than anyone I've ever seen in the history of mankind. I mean,
I agree.
I can see time after time where I see him late coming out just to throw a hand at a ball that's just
goes swishing through the air and then through the basket. It happens a lot. And then on Miller Kopp, I saw him. Yeah, there were many times where they were double teaming Indiana and they were passing out of it and going all the way across court and still being allowed to be closed out and not get the 3-point shot up. Miller Kopp is 6'7", and you're right, he has to have the confidence that when he catches that pass to just go up with it. And he's not doing that. Indiana puts up the least amount of threes. Well, not the most, but they're like 16th from the bottom. And you cannot win the NCAA tournament or go far without having a 3-point game, period. You cannot win 3-2.
No, I mean, you can't. What, they make 2 against Penn State and 4 against Maryland? I mean, you can't be doing that. I mean, Penn State made 8 against them. I don't remember what Maryland made. They made a bunch in the first half, but it's not a priority. And it's too late in the year for them to think that they would make it a priority. But, I mean, they got to shoot more than they're shooting. And in addition to Kopp not being confident or eager to shoot the ball, they've also got to be quicker to rotate the ball. Their rotation, when the pass, like if it goes from Hood-Schifino to Galloway to Kopp and maybe a guy in between, you got to move that ball faster. I mean, we see it the way Iowa rotates it, the way Purdue rotates it. I mean, you got to know that, okay, we got to move the ball around the perimeter quickly and get it to the open guy. Or sometimes, I hate to sound like Coach Knipe, but like, how about a shot fake every once in a while and draw the defender up in the air and then take a step in and take the shot.
Happened against Trace Jackson Davis for 3 points at the end of toward the end of the game the other day.
I mean, that's something I really think that Mike Woodson needs to work on moving forward. And as he constructs the team for next season, it's not much better. I know they're shooting a higher percentage, but it's not much better than it was under Archie Miller in terms of having guys on the perimeter who are feared because they can make shots. They got to find some guys who can make shots, man.
So what do you think happens between Miami and Drake?
I like Miami. I've watched them play Louisville over the last few years. Larinaga a good coach. You got really good guards. Wong and Nigel Pack, the kid from Indianapolis, who they gave the NIL deal. I think he's making $400,000 a year. They got another guard.
Oh yeah, I meant to mention that. We'll get to see Nigel Pack in the $400,000 a year man.
Archie didn't want, and I guess Indiana didn't really pursue him last year when he was in the portal. He's an Indianapolis kid. He's a good player, and he will shoot threes. I mean, they will shoot threes. And so, I mean, people probably don't know this, but Miami won the ACC regular season title this year. And I know that people viewed the ACC as down. I think they're number 7, best league in Ken Pom, but they were good enough to win the ACC. I mean, they've got really good guards. They don't have a great inside game. They don't have a bunch of depth, but they've got good guards. So, I mean, Indiana can certainly beat them, but got to beat Kent State first, because I know hasn't Jay Billis picked Kent State to win, and it's almost like picking Kent State's become one of the trendier upset picks nationally in the bracket, right?
John, didn't you say there were a 50-50 pick with somebody?
A fifth? I don't remember saying that, no.
Okay, man, never mind. Then
I
thought it was somebody else.
think Jay Billis picked it as his number 1 upset choice.
Well, see, it's not the biggest to me, though. It's not, even though the numbers are skewed. That's not the seeds to me are not accurate. Kent State is a hell of a lot better than
the 13
seed.
Right. I was voting them in the top 25 in the AP poll for a while until they went to Ball State and lost. And then
I don't know how they got that far down. I mean, they won 10 out of their last 11 games too.
And don't they start? They start at least 3 and maybe 4 seniors. I mean, they're an older, toughened team. And they're super aggressive, and they are going to try and turn Indiana over. And if they can't handle, ball pressure, it's going to be a tough night for Indiana. It really is.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking for the points average tag on this. It's always in a different spot of what the guys that they have and what they averaging, but too many lines here to find it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So what do you think is going to happen between IU and Kent State?
I do think Indiana will win a close game. I don't think it'll be easy. I think they'll find a way to win a close game because I do believe that Jackson Davis will assert himself, and Kent State will have a hard time. They've not seen a guy like him, I guess, since they saw Drew Timme. And there's no guys like him in the Mid-American Conference. So, and I have enough faith in Hitchafino that he'll be able to deliver. It's going to come down to, as I've said repeatedly and for weeks, some of these other dudes going to have to play. I mean, I still shake my head at Galloway's performance in Chicago. Like, how can you play 2 complete games and not score until the last minute of the second game?
Yeah,
they got a bunch of guys on the team who are just different players away from Assembly Hall. When they're in Assembly Hall, they seem to play with confidence. When they're away from Assembly Hall, they seem to be afraid to shoot the ball. The one guy who seemed to make a change in that perception in Chicago was Bates. He played better. Yeah, he played better. And Renault played pretty well. In the Maryland game, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like Woodson got mad at Galloway and Race Thompson in the first 2 minutes of the second half when Penn State got 2 or 3 long offensive rebounds and Indiana got beat to the ball. And he benched Galloway and he benched Race Thompson and he put Renew and Bates in the game. And Indiana played with more energy, and that's what he's going to have to do again. It's like you can't have guys out there who are going 3/4 speed for offensive rebounds on the floor, long offensive rebounds. You can't have it.
No, because Indiana is getting crushed on the boards, and
they're Penn State was a bad offensive rebounding team. They're the worst one in the Big Ten, and they had 9 offensive rebounds in that game.
I think there was a tweet. The team that won was the team that wanted to win the most. I mean, it was evident that Penn State wanted to win that game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. So we'll see. Maybe they'll put it. We saw it last year when they played St. Mary's, and I know that there were all the rationales that they had to play 2 days before and fly across the country and a flight delay. And I did notice the NCAA not doing it that way. The last night's game was Pitt and Mississippi State. Instead of playing on Thursday, they're playing on Friday, and they're not playing on the West Coast. They're playing in Greensboro. So they didn't do to Pitt what they did to Indiana last year. But once you get in the tournament, people don't care about that stuff. You got to respond.
The portal's open as well.
Yeah.
Got that going on.
So 4 Butler guys went in, 4 Louisville guys have gone in. 1 guy from Notre Dame's already committed to Syracuse, Starling. I've heard some names associated with IU.
The Butler guys and Thad Matta, does that surprise you?
A little bit, yeah. That there have been that many. I shouldn't be surprised because it's the way of the world right now. But from what I've read and from what I've heard, I expect Indiana to be really active in the portal. I know they've been mentioned with the kid from Harvard who's one of the top 2 or 3 names in the portal. And there's a couple other guys they've been mentioned with. But they're going to be losing 4 starters and maybe 5 if Xavier's waiver is not granted. So they need players.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully they'll get past Kent State and then take on maybe Miami and eventually meet Kelvin. And could you imagine if they were able to vanquish both of those guys? That would be something.
Senderoff and Kelvin. Did you know Senderoff when he was at IU?
I did not know him. No.
Yeah, I knew him. He's a good guy. He was
what were his charges?
As I remember it, he was like a facilitator.
I was going to say the facilitator to the phone calls.
Yeah, like somebody would call him and then he'd get Sampson on the line or something.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. To me, the biggest thing he did that was wrong was the one recruit who he really went after was a kid by the name of Bud Mackey, who was a really good player from the state of Kentucky over in Georgetown. And Indiana was all in on him. He might have even committed, but he had a tremendous amount of off-the-court problems, and I don't think he ever played college basketball anywhere. He got in trouble with the law, and it seemed like a bad judgment on his part to put in that much time and that many resources into recruiting a guy who had some serious character issues.
There you go. So they agree with you. Well, we'll see how it turns out, Rick, and I wish you guys a safe drive. I'll check in on you.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Jim. Be safe.
The great Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you give him a follow for everything in college athletics. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio as we're tournament bound. Brought to you by our good friends from Reynolds Family Dentistry down in the Sellersburg area. Make sure you stop in and visit Dr. J for that championship smile. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
I went to school with the guy who was driving Rick Bozich. When he said his name, I knew immediately who it was.
Huh?
The guy that was with Rick that was driving his car, Dalton Godby. I went to Western with him. He was a year ahead of me, though.
Oh.
If I'd have known that before we went live, I would have said hey to him.
You know, I had salad for breakfast. I'm doing good.
Make sure you wipe that face off.
Oh, my goodness. God dang it.
We'll have about 10 minutes here before we wrap up.
Go! Minutes off to Albany.
Albany.
You know, I've spent a lot of time in New Albany, but never in Albany.
All right, here we go.
The restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Wednesday prior to opening day of the NCAA tournament. The, I guess, real opening day that actually opened last night with the first 2 play-in games. Pitt is in. Texas A&M at Corpus Christi is in. tonight. We've got another pair of games coming. And then a round of games tomorrow. Kansas plays tomorrow. Number 1 seed taking on Howard. But Arkansas, Illinois at 4:30, that's a good one. Man, I'm going to pick Arkansas in that game. St. Mary's VCU. Boy, that's not till Friday. We'll skip that. Just doing tomorrow games. Northwestern, Boise State tomorrow. Northwestern, can they win their first tournament game? I don't remember if they won a game in 2017. I'd have to look that up.
They
If
did
not,
I can't remember who they played, but I know they didn't win.
okay, well, here's their first opportunity to win an NCAA tournament game in school history.
Will they be the last Big Ten team to win an NCAA tournament game, or are there other Big Ten teams that haven't won?
It could only be Nebraska.
That'd be my guess if there were any others.
But I
feel like Nebraska's probably had
I'd say somewhere over the line, but we'd have to check that. Good. That's a good question, though, John. Good question.
I'm gonna see if I can find an answer, but maybe not. We'll
UCLA also in action tomorrow night, but they're taking on UNC Asheville. Why that's such a late game? No one cares to see that. I'd rather see the Northwestern Boise State as the late game. But that's in the West region. In the South region, there are games tomorrow. Number 1 Alabama plays tomorrow. They play Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Maryland, West Virginia. Boy, there's the game of the day. Whoo! 8-9. I'll take West Virginia. I'm sorry. They just seem like they're the tougher team against Maryland, who has not done much on the, if anything, on the road. They did all their damage at home. Also tomorrow, here's a 12-5 game. Number 5, San Diego State. Number 12, Charleston. I'm going to take Charleston in that 12-5 for the upset. Virginia also plays tomorrow. Number 4, Virginia, taking on Furman at 12:40. Then Missouri, and here's a note. Romeo Langford, his high school teammate, well, he had 2. One was David Bell, who, of course, played for Purdue and is off in the NFL when in 2016 when New Albany won the state championship. But also Sean East, that was on that team, plays on this Missouri team, 7 seed against the Utah State, so they should be a favorite to win that game. They play tomorrow at 1:40. And then you've got Arizona in the afternoon taking on Princeton. And that's just 2 brackets. There's a lot of games tomorrow. Duke plays tomorrow. Take on Oral Roberts. So there'll be a lot of praying for a win in that one. Number 4, Tennessee takes on Louisiana tomorrow night at 9:40. Kentucky. Now that's the next day. But we'll be talking about that later. And then the rest of those games are the following day. We go to the Midwest, of course. Houston tomorrow. This is in Albany, New York, of course. Iowa, Auburn. I don't know where that is being played. Number 2, Texas and Colgate. Tomorrow at 7:25. The late game tomorrow night, Texas A&M and Penn State. Buddy, that should be a fist fight. If Penn State can bring their defense and score like they did against Indiana, they have a very good shot of moving on and upsetting Texas A&M. Let's see. I think that's all the tomorrow games. So there you go. You got your brackets filled out. Hey, don't forget ESPN bracket for Indiana Sports Beat fans. Codename Indiana and fill a bracket out. We'll put together a nice prize package, some gift certificates, merchandise, things like that. We'll make it fun, worthwhile. I think it's free. It's all free, so just jump in there. I've got to hopefully do that stuff on the plane. That's what the plan is, at least. But ready to get to it. It's been difficult as we trying to get prepared. Looking over here at the comments. Birmingham. That's talking about where that game was played. Thank you, sir. Langford lost his Western
You meant to
Kentucky
say
coach.
Christian Lander, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think he's talking about Christian Lander. So I guess Western's coach got the axe.
Yeah, Rick Stansberry, after I guess 6 or 7 years, I think, finally got the axe after not being able to ever win the Conference USA tournament and get to the NCAA tournament. He's had a lot of good years, but he could never get into the big postseason. Let me throw some out.
I have no
One
idea.
name I expect to see on that coaching list is Tom Crean on the candidate list. If he's interested in getting back into coaching, I don't know if Tom Crean's happy doing, ESPN announcing or whatever he's been doing for the past couple of years. He may be satisfied doing that, but if he's interested in getting back into coaching, he was once an assistant at Western Kentucky, so he has some ties there. It'd be a good place to get re-involved in. Obviously, you do have, not that it was one of his guys, but you do have an Indiana guy there, Christian Lander. And you got a lot of good pieces to work with. And Tom Crean had a really good history of finding guys, at least for Indiana, who were under-recruited players and turned them into superstars like OG Anunoby and Victor Oladipo. So don't be surprised if you see Tom Crean as a name mentioned for that WKU job.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Does he go to that? I don't want to say level, but
I mean, he was unsuccessful at Georgia, so you would think he would go back to the group of five potentially.
And here's the thing. He was unsuccessful at Georgia while other teams were making, i.e. Alabama, were evolving to a good program. And this is a different era. You've got the NIL era. So going to a specific school, it's going to everything plays into it now. There's so many different factors. So someone asking, would Lander hit the portal? Well, I have no idea because, maybe he likes it at Western. If he does, he would try.
Well, here's the thing. He's already used his one-time transfer rule. He'd have to sit out if he did.
Yes.
I think that's one thing a lot of people forget about the portal is that it's not just free agency every year. Once you've used your one-time transfer, you can't do that unless you have, a special reason to do so.
And he's not that far from home. And if he did, it would probably be, I would say USI would, but there's no suggestion that he's going to do this. So I'm not saying there's no point even suggesting that. We've got NCAA action, man. Philip pointing out Mountain West teams 0-4 last year in the tournament. Good stat to see. Kevin asking, how come Indiana got such a tough penalty and all the other programs got off easy? Not sure if that's going back to Kelvin Sampson, what that was about. Russell says, unbelievable that Tom Crean had an IU rated #1 back in the country during his tenure, and the wheels fell off. Yes, they did. Well, we'll find out. I'm looking forward to it, man. The action gets underway. There is nothing like NCAA tournament action. It's live. It's real. It comes at you 100 miles an hour. So, and everybody's impacted, whether all the people that are listening up in the region on our station, WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. There are tons of players from that area that are playing in this tournament, just like the Fort Wayne guys, just like the Evansville guys. And our people listening on the RAF 97.7, always the right call. So there's people from all over the place from Indiana. I was looking at just from the women's, the high school girls that are playing. Do you know there are Michigan's women's team has 6 Indiana kids on it? 6.
I didn't know that.
6
We've got to
just
go.
on Michigan's women's team. 6. That's a third of their team, man. If more. I mean, that's crazy. But we always talk about the kids at all the different Big Ten schools as well. But we're over. So, well, it's time to go, man. It's been such fun, but I cannot wait to do it again tomorrow. Big thanks to Bob Kravitz, of course, from The Athletic, Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. He's headed to Albany right now as well. And I will be too. The next time you see me, we'll be coming to you from Albany, New York. Big thanks to all those guys, John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. And we will talk to you and see you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.